Hey guys, welcome back to another 2024 election prediction. And it's April Fool's today, but this is not an April Fool's prediction. I just posted an April Fool's prediction like every political channel does on YouTube. It's annoying, yet I'm part of it. This is a real prediction. Just bored, so I decided to do it. This is real. And this is if Donald Trump runs from a third party in 2024. So I have Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee, right? He's most likely to win it. He's most likely to run, and if he runs, then he will certainly win it. And then Trump, he's probably going to start maybe a Patriot Party or the American Party, whatever it may be, something very patriotic. So, that doesn't really matter what it's called, but he's running for the third party with that purple color. And then I did choose Chris Sununu for the Republican nominee, because I didn't want to do someone so anti-Trump. See, looking at the 2024 Wikipedia page, Chris Sununu has publicly expressed interest. He has said that, people do want a more moderate choice, and that person is Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu wins by a solid margin in the governor's election in New Hampshire, every time that he runs. He's immensely popular among the Republican Party, and especially among Republicans and Democrats, and mostly independents in his home state of New Hampshire, where he governs. And the real reason I chose Chris Sununu is that he really stayed out of the whole national politics thing. When it came to Mitt Romney or Ted Cruz, when it came to choosing Trump, standing beside Trump, or shunning Trump, he stayed out of that mess. So really, he doesn't have any good or bad relation with Trump. So I really chose a very neutral guy. And, he really stayed out of it during Trump's term, but he denied any election fraud. So he will kind of bring that Republican Party back into the traditional conservative Republican state that it was in 2012, during the Tea Party movement up until 2016 when Donald Trump was nominated. So let's get right into this prediction. So really, all these solid Democratic states, California, Washington, Hawaii, Illinois, Washington, D.C., Maryland, his home state of Delaware, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine's 1st District. These will all stay solid Democrat. Remember, the Republican vote will be split. It's as simple as that. The Republican vote will be split. So that means states like Oregon and New Jersey will be safe. I really see these being safe. They were safe in 2020, and I think that they would once again be safe. Biden is unpopular. We have to remember that. But really, with a split Republican vote, he will come out on top. Going to, there's going to be very few safe states for Chris Sununu and Donald Trump, and we'll look at that in just a moment. But anyway, let's go to the state of Virginia. There are a whole lot of traditional Republicans in the state of Virginia. Remember, Obama only carried this state by 3.9 percentage points in 2012, and Mitt Romney was a traditional conservative. Chris Sununu will win many of these traditional conservatives, but in every single state, there's that Trumpian wing of the party. There's a wing that really loves Trump. So I do think that Virginia would be safe. Moving over to, I don't know. Let's go to some states that Chris Sununu and Trump have a shot in. Going to the state of New Hampshire, going to the state of New Hampshire, I think that this would be likely Chris Sununu. I think that, his home state, I think it's going to go to him, and I think that's almost going to be safe. But remember, in every state, there is that Trumpian wing. And there is a big fat chunk of Trumpian Republicans who voted for Chris Sununu and helped him win by a solid margin. And those voters, most of them anyway, will return back to Donald Trump. But going to Maine's 2nd District, I think that Chris Sununu and Donald Trump will both do very, very well here. And what does that mean? That means a Biden victory, because that means the Republican vote split. However, I do think that Trump would do slightly better than Sununu. I think that this would be a very close state. I think that this will be a tilt Biden win. So that does mean that Maine at large would be a likely Biden win. And then going over to the state of West Virginia, I don't see Sununu doing well at all here. And of course, the Democrat never does well here. I think that this would be safe Trump. Remember, this is Trumpian territory. He did very well here in 2016 and 2020. This is not going anywhere. This is an Appalachian state that is big into Trump. It's as simple as that. Alaska, I think, would go to Joe Biden by a lean margin. I think that would be a pretty close state. But, I mean, what we have to remember is that this is more of a moderate Republican state, a traditional conservative state. They really did not back Trump. But, again, so that means that Chris Sununu does well, right? But then, again, there are those Trumpian Republicans who will not vote for Sununu because he said that the election was not stolen. And they will vote for Donald Trump from the American Party. So I think that with his Democratic votes, I think that Biden will come out on top in the state of Alaska. And then moving on to, I don't know, maybe let's go down south. Let's go to Florida. I think that Biden will win here by a tilt margin. I think that, this will be a very close race because the vast majority of Republicans in the state of Florida are very pro-Trump. But still, and I think that they would all go to, the majority would go to Donald Trump. But still, there are some Republicans who will back Chris Sununu. And independents, we have to remember that, who will not vote for Biden because of inflation, stuff like that. And I think that just narrowly with his Democratic votes, I think that Biden might just be able to come out on top in the state of Florida. And then going to Georgia, I think that he will only do better here. Chris Sununu won't do that well in the South, but he's going to take some votes away. So Georgia, I think, would be lean. I think that North Carolina would be a lean Biden win. I think he's going to win in both of these two states. But going to South Carolina, I think that Trump, he did very well here, and I think that he's going to hold on to it by a lean margin. Sorry, the colors are kind of weird since it's purple. It doesn't really look quite lean. It just looks brighter. But I think that Trump would narrowly be able to hang on to it. I just don't see Chris Sununu doing that well in the South. So that means states like Louisiana, maybe Louisiana would be likely, but going to states like Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and really Mississippi, I think that these would all be safe Trump. I mean, there are so many Trumpian Republicans down here who will turn out for Donald Trump no matter what. I think it would be too much to handle for Chris Sununu or Joe Biden. I don't really see them having much of a shot here. Indiana, Mike Pence used to be governor here. Definitely more of a traditional conservative state. I do think that there are enough Trumpian Republicans to shift the state into the Biden column. I think that he will win here by a lean margin. And then same in Ohio. I definitely see this being a Biden state by a lean margin. A lot of these white working class voters will turn out for Trump, but because they had gotten to Trump in 2016, then went to Biden in 2020. But a lot of them will go to Chris Sununu because he does have a good record. People would trust him as president, a lot of people. But there is always that wing of the party that will back Trump no matter what. So I do think that Ohio would be lean. Going over to the state of Missouri, definitely a Trump win here, probably a lean margin, I'd say. Again, Chris Sununu and Joe Biden won't do that well in these southern states. Very weird map so far. And then going to Iowa, Chris Sununu, I think, would do well here, and I think ultimately that will lead to a Biden victory here by a lean margin. I really see Chris Sununu connecting with these rural voters. He's going to do very well among the rural voters, I think, because he comes from a pretty rural state like the state of New Hampshire. I think he's really going to connect with these voters, and that will lead to a Biden victory here. And Biden has already won the presidency. Wow. And then going up to Minnesota, probably a likely margin, a solid margin, just because Chris Sununu will really connect with that moderate base of the Republican Party here. And Minnesota definitely state where there are more moderate Republicans than other states. And then the blue wall, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Biden will come out on top in all three. Michigan, likely. Pennsylvania, lean. And Pennsylvania would probably be likely as well. Actually, all three would probably be likely, I would say. And then, because, Chris Sununu will return many of these moderate Republicans back into the Republican Party. But, of course, Trump will win a lot of Republicans also. And then okay, sorry. Moving on. Sorry about that. So moving on to the Midwest. Going down to Texas, Biden will probably come out on top by tilt margin. Chris Sununu won't do that well. We have to admit that. Chris Sununu will not do that well in the state of Texas. He will not do well with these southern rural voters, unlike states like Iowa, which are more northern. But he will win some Republicans, and that will be enough. I think that Biden will be able to hang on to the state. Plus, we have to keep in mind that the state of Texas is shifting to the left. Okay? It is shifting to the left, and that will be, very critical key. And then going to states like Oklahoma, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska's third, and Wyoming. Yeah, that's probably it for now. These will all be solid Trump states. It's very popular in some of these Midwestern states. And then he's gonna do well in others, but it's not going to be quite a solid margin. States like Idaho, I don't see being quite solid. Nebraska's second. Nebraska's first, not quite solid. That's going to be likely too. And then going to states like Montana, Utah, and Kansas, I think that Utah would go to Chris Sununu by likely margin. This is a state that voted for Ted Cruz in 2016 primary, and an independent Republican ran on the ballot during the 2016 election just to stop Trump from winning the state. Utah really does not like Trump, especially saying that he has made some questionable comments about Mormonism, the heavily dominant religion in the state of Utah. Then going to Montana, this will probably be a lean margin, bit closer, just saying that this is more of a Trumpian state. And then going to Kansas, I think that Trump really will have the edge in the state of Kansas. I think it's going to be by tilt margin. I think that Chris Sununu would come incredibly close. And then, going to Nebraska 2nd District, this will be a likely margin. He won it likely in 2020. Why not even win it by a wider margin? And then, so that means that Trump will win Nebraska at large by a likely margin. Likely margin. All right. Moving on to New Mexico and Colorado. Okay, so these two states are definitely going to go to Joe Biden. I think that they were both going to be safe. I really see make New Mexico likely, but Colorado, there are definitely enough independents who usually vote Republican or just moderate Republicans who will turn out for Chris Sununu, and then there always will be those Trumpian Republicans who will turn out for Donald Trump. I think that will split the Republican vote a lot in the state of Colorado, and I think that it would go to Joe Biden by a solid margin. New Mexico, not so much. I don't see Chris Sununu having as much support as he would in the state of Colorado, so I do think that would be likely. And then going to the state of Arizona, Biden will definitely come out on top because there's that strong Trumpian wing. Remember, the vote was almost basically 50-50 in 2020. Biden just narrowly won. And then, but Chris Sununu will return so many moderate Republicans and independents back into the Republican Party that shifted away from Trump after he made the McCain remarks. So he will return so many Republicans back to the Republican Party. As I just said, that will be a likely win for Biden here. And then Nevada, I see the same thing happening. I see Biden winning by a likely margin. So this is my final map. Wow, such a weird map. Again, this is not an April Fool's prank. I actually think that this is how the map would play out. So Joe Biden wins in a landslide with 423 electoral votes, more than 3/4 of all EVs. So Biden wins with 423 electoral votes to Chris Sununu's 14. Wow, very bad chunk for Chris Sununu. And Donald Trump's 101. Donald Trump comes in second, Biden comes in first, and Chris Sununu comes in third. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all tomorrow.